Pepita, my great-great-grandmother, is responsible for the 1/16th of me that is proudly Spanish. Throughout my life, I have been aware of the famous dancer, a spectacular beauty with what my grandmother Vita called her rapscallion background, who emerged from the back streets of a southern Spanish town to conquer the stages of 19th-century Europe. My father always spoke her name with a deliberately exaggerated lilt, just as he pronounced Lolita, in the way Nabokov stipulated in the opening line of his novel. A framed drawing of Pepita wearing the tight-bodiced, sleeveless dancing dress that identified her as the star of Andalusia at the time my great-great-grandfather fell in love with her always hung on the sitting-room wall in our house. Pepita was a curious figure to me, foreign not only in look, but also in time and in culture. Hers was a sensibility wholly alien to an English upbringing in which tea-time jam sandwiches had to be eaten before cake was allowed, and children were more likely to learn the androgynous, cigarette-extinguishing footstep of the twist than the sexually charged strutting of the mid-19th century flamenco. My father was enchanted by the romance of Pepita's story, his mother having impressed it on him since his own childhood. He once gave me a Spanish doll made of hard pink plastic with a black lace mantilla over her face and highly rouged cheeks, and after a trip to Spain he brought me back a pair of wooden castanets with the word Malaga in black ink painted over a pink hibiscus. Clueless what to do with them, I was encouraged to be pleased by even the faintest hint of a Spanish heritage. Pepita was born in 1830, in the throbbing, poverty-riddled city of Malaga. Her father, Pedro Duran, was a barber, while the local glamour of her gypsy mother, Catalina Ortega, was enhanced by rumours that as a young girl she had earned money leaping through hoops at a circus. After the birth of her daughter, Catalina took in washing from neighbours and the local hotels, the clean sheets of Malaga's smarter districts hanging out to dry, suspended like huge truce flags over Catalina's balcony. The family lived in Calle Puente, a small alley tucked away in a maze of slums not far from the river, and where the heavy air, thick with southern heat, was impregnated with the smell of rancid olive oil, rotten fish, fresh manure, and the combined scent of crushed cinnamon and chocolate. Calle Puente was choked with animal and human life. Neighbourhood chickens squawked for scraps on the earth floor, and the jangle of bells alerted dawdling pedestrians to mules carrying vegetables in their panniers and luggage on their backs. Bumping their way along the alley, the animals paused only to raise their heads, stretch their necks and bray, an alarming, jarring, semi-human combination of sobs and sighs. Dozens of tiny naked children ran and played together in the sunshine, while the women swept rubbish from outside their doorways and gossiped. The men plotted and smoked cigars, and the exhausted faces of the very poor were just visible in the shadows, retreating from the harshness of the sun and of life. On the morning I went to Calle Puente, determined to begin at the beginning and to find Pepita's birthplace, flowery house-coated women were scrubbing their front steps as skinny dogs ran circles around them. There was no sign of a donkey, but families of cats and their kittens occupied the darkened street corners, licking and hissing, purring and scratching, tumbling and entwining and dozing in furry, sleepy heaps. A man in a blonde wig with a 5 o'clock shadow and dressed in a silver miniskirt was making his unsteady way towards me on high heels, while his companion, 6 inches smaller, trotted beside him, puffing on a cigar, a silky Pekingese tucked under his arm. The old 1830 houses of Pepita's day had crumbled away, but although the replacement buildings were new, a sense of deprivation and struggle lingered. A builder's van with its back doors open, revealing a stack of tools, was parked halfway down the street. The driver nodded a good morning, and at the sound of our voices a couple of windows above us flew open. 2 women, cigarettes hanging from their mouths, stared down at me. In hesitant Spanish, and much backwards gesticulating with my thumb to indicate centuries past, I mentioned Pepita's name. At once, One of the women broke into a smile, pointing with her finger in the direction of the river. "Conservatorio Professional de Danza," she said triumphantly, mimicking a little dance movement as she spoke. How was it possible that memories of a child who had danced as light as a bird in that tiny street in the southern sunshine had lingered for nearly 2 centuries? I did not question it. Maybe they had been handed from mother to daughter in the way that family memories should be.